This boy's brain starts leaking out of his skull, forcing doctors to reveal a shocking secret. To make your day just that little brighter, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to be inspired by these heartwarming stories every day. Dealing with health problems is an absolute nightmare for most people. You always hear about the extreme cases that people end up having to endure and fight through. The common reaction many people have is that it could never happen to me, due to many of these conditions being extremely rare. And this, more often than not, is true, except when it does end up happening to you. Manik Khandan is a 13-year-old boy from Kerala, India. He's just your average teenage boy, besides one glaring factor that unfortunately makes his everyday life much harder than the average kid his age. The teenage boy was born with a swollen nose that never stopped growing in size. Eventually, the swollen nose was thought to be some type of growth rather than the boy's actual nose. While the situation was far from ideal, at least the swollen nose was properly identified as just a growth, right? Sadly, things don't end there, and it turns out to be something much worse than anyone could have ever imagined. Things started to take a very bad turn for Manik Khandan regarding his condition. He began to feel a very strange sensation in his head that traveled down to the growth that was right above his nose. Other kids he went to school with thought it was funny. They had already given him enough trouble over the years for his appearance. Him feeling and acting strange was just adding more fuel to the fire. The teenager's condition continued to get worse and worse. Eventually, Manik Khandan couldn't even find it in himself to be able to attend school anymore. This was the last straw for the boy's parents. They feared for their son's health and had a visit scheduled with a doctor as soon as possible. What the doctors ended up finding was a condition so rare that many of the medical staff working at the hospital had never even known of its existence. It only occurs in about 1 in 5,000 births, and it's not always fatal, but it certainly can be. It turned out that Manik Khandan had a condition known as acephalocele that was never diagnosed. This condition causes brain matter to grow outside the skull through gaps present in the bone. This condition is often present at birth due to a baby's skull bones not fully closing, hence why there was a gap in the boy's skull that allowed the brain matter to grow outside of it. Doctors immediately had to schedule an emergency surgery so that they could treat the condition before it was too late. During what ended up being a staggering 11-hour operation, doctors had to crack open the boy's skull, isolate his brain, and remove the sac of non-functioning brain matter that was oozing out of his head and causing the sac to form. After that was all said and done, the doctors then had to reposition the boy's eye sockets and completely remodel his nose. All of this proved to be an extremely difficult task for the doctors to complete, but eventually the surgery was a success. The procedure ended up being so expensive that the Kerala government had to step in to pay for it because Manik Khandan's family couldn't afford the cost. A team of more than 10 surgeons was needed in order to successfully complete the operation. His father, Selvin, a plantation worker, said, "I have 5 children who are all normal and healthy, except Manik Khandan, who was born with a swelling on the nose which kept growing. Because of the huge deformity on his face, he never went to school or mingled with others, as people used to make fun of his appearance. After surgery, he's eager to go back home, start school, and make friends. I thank the doctors of Amrita Hospital from the bottom of my heart for enabling him to lead a normal life." Manik Khandan went on to make a full recovery and was quickly discharged from the hospital. The teenager was excited to finally have a normal life, free from unusual sensations in the head and having to walk around with a sack attached to the top of his nose. For years, he strongly disliked going to school and making friends with people his age due to their lack of understanding regarding his condition. He could finally be himself and make friends, rather than continue to live his life in total isolation. If you liked this video, please leave it a like rating and subscribe if you haven't done so already so that you never miss an upload.